Hello and welcome to the VLM Media live stream broadcast Roundtable. I'm your host Ryan Holland, and with me today is Duke Iqbal, founder of VLM Ministries. And today we are going to be discussing child protective services, some experiences we've both had with CPS, and kind of some implications and ideas of what maybe some solutions are as well to some issues facing CPS. So Duke, it's great to have you here with me.
Thank you, Ryan.
And why don't we start off with maybe you sharing with the audience kind of an experience or experiences that you've had with CPS to kind of help introduce the conversation.
Sure. My experience started, I think it's about 10 years ago, and there's a organization that what they do, the setup for camping for those foster kids for the one summer week, because a lot of those foster kids, they don't have ability to go to the summer camping. So this program is designed to take them to the summer camping for 1 week. We mentor them, and we do anything need to be done. And it's a great program, So I was there as a counsel, and so the program is that each council had 2 kids sign up from the foster, and the whole program that we used to take 40 boys and 40 girls, and each council has 2 boys. Is 24/7 sign up if you want a council, and in the cabin we have 2 council and 4 boys. So those 2 councils stay 24/7 together, and 4 boys 24/7 together.
So 6 people total per cabin.
Per cabin.
2 counselors and 4 kids.
Yes, and the counselor responsible everything for the kid. Make sure those kids taking a shower, make sure the kid eating it, make sure those kids taking their proper medication, everything up. I mean, it's a great setup because all the medication, everything goes to the nurse section, because we also have a registered nurse in there, and they kept up all the medication. So in the morning, we get them ready, take them to on that medication place, and they have their name, everything up, and they take their medication. Then all they start. It's a great program, and the kid and I did for 5 years, and the program is such a powerful program. And in the end, I feel really bad and sad because we pick them up on Sunday and we drop them up next Sunday, from the church, whatever the church sponsored that program. But I'm telling you, the Sunday you drop them up, your heart get broke, because those kids did not want to go home. They want to go with you.
Wow.
And
were there ever any exceptions to that?
No.
Or is it every time the kids
every time? The program is designed that you cannot approach any kid for any kind of those kind of stuff that okay, I'm going to be taking home, or I'm going to be adapt you. You cannot discuss. You cannot give your phone number. You cannot give your address to them, and neither you cannot take their address or their phone number. Nothing. That's the violation on that program, and you have to obey that program regulation.
Sure.
If you don't, also you have to go train before the program starts. That everything, your background have to be checked, everything checked out. So it's a great setup. But
now, can I ask, what are some of so I guess you guys were out, like before we get to kind of the very end and beyond the camp itself, what were the kind of activities that you guys were doing there at the camp?
The activity was great activity. In the morning, say we take them, make sure they brush their teeth, get ready, go to clean clothes, take them to the medication. From there, we go to the breakfast. After the breakfast, then we have different programs set up for each day. So we're going to program someday. We have basketball or swimming or kayaking or fishing or whatever set up. So we all do the same thing. So each hour they have a design program set up for that. We follow that program. Then we take them to take a shower. I mean, it's a
I mean,
great.
I can only just imagine how those kids must have thrived in that environment, especially as we're going to get into in a little bit, the living situations that way too many of these kids are facing in a typical like foster care situation, taking them out of that situation and putting them in nature with all these activities and a real structure and the things you're talking about, clean clothes and brushing your teeth and basic hygiene, really taking care of yourself. And that had to be, I know at the end it was sorrowful, but I guess it had to be kind of rewarding on some level as well, that to watch these kids progress throughout the week.
Yes, it has on it, and the program still exists. They still doing it, and doing it all 50 states, this program actually, and the thing that I run into, when we pick those kids up on Sunday, we bring them in, we check everything they're bringing in because we have a checklist, who bringing what, make sure there's nobody losing anything, and then we looked at those kids. Some of the kids came up, didn't have anything, no clothes, even their clothes have, it's a tear down clothes, and we constantly run into the Walmart, buying stuff, buying their underpants or t-shirt or sandal, we see some of the kids came up with sandal with the duct tape. We see some of the kids came up with tennis shoe, but when you flip the tennis shoe and you see it covered with the duct tape, and you ask them what happened to the shoe, well, that's all I have. And I got
a shoe wrapped in duct tape.
Yes,
And even though they're getting a certain amount of money from the government each month per child, that should more than cover a decent pair of shoes. I mean, you can go down to the thrift store and get a decent pair of shoes for relatively cheap. So that's got to be a bit galling to see that kind of stuff up close.
It is, so those are the things that I observed, and I got to think. And then when I did for 5 years, then I started researching. I said, what happening to those kids? Is that our not getting that proper funding, or how they set up? Then I find out some of the foster parents, they got about 12 to 15 kids, and they're taking in. And I was thinking, that's the last number of kids in one house, And then I started looking at, that some of those foster parents don't have any job, they're doing full time that one. And I said, well, that's good, that's a very good. Then I started looking at because when they drop them off on Sunday, at the church, you can see those foster parents, they're driving Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and coming
our tax dollars at work, right?
Coming up, and then you start looking at, some of them, they're bragging, they're living, big mansion with 3-4 acre land, and I was thinking, how they paying for those things? Then I got to think of, wait a minute, so those kids that they're taking in, from those kids, and they're making their lifestyle with that. Thinking about that. You don't need 3 acre and like a 6,000 to 7,000 square feet home, and driving BMW, and you don't have any jobs. So how are you paying for those things? You're paying for those kids. And then when we have those kids come up, and we ask those kids, why don't you have a right shoe? Why don't you have a pants? How many clothes you have? We only have 2 pants, and even pants have a hole on it, But then I started looking at how much the state paying for each kid. At that time, I believe one kid, regular kid, they get like $1,000 per month. If your kid have a little bit, autistic something, they will get like a $1,500. But if kid, disability kid, they get like a $2,000 to $2,500 per month. And you added up those money, and then thinking that's a lot of money. But how come those kids doesn't have anything? It's just a mind-boggling.
Well, it is mind-boggling, and it almost reminds me of an Annie, that musical Annie type scenario, where when you have 10, 12, 15 kids in a house, at what point are you really kind of an orphanage? But then you're essentially not taking care of those kids. You're just taking that money. You're doing, I guess, the absolute bare minimum or below the bare minimum for these kids, and then enriching yourself with that that's a big problem because, and it's not just about our tax dollars. The reality is we care about those kids and we want what's best for those kids, and that's what those resources are put aside for, right? I mean, they're there for those kids. And so was this something, I guess, that you saw, I guess, fairly often, or?
No, when the 5 years I did, we saw every year, same thing. I mean, we run to the Walmart someday 3, 4, 5 times a day just to go buy stuff for those kids, and it's sad to see that, and how those people, I mean, I'm not saying every single foster parent, there's a good foster parent,
Sure, of course.
they're doing out of their heart, but then some of them, it become a commercialized, become their business. It's just like you have a daycare business, that's what they are,
Right. And it would be one thing if they did that and they were taking really good care of the kids, right? That'd be another category. But it's another thing when they're doing that and they're just keeping most of the money for themselves and barely any of it is going to the kids. That it just seems like there's a major hole in the system.
It is because I believe our system has the flaws on it, and I believe there was a lot of abuse going on, and somebody ought to need to look into this thing and look into those foster parents, foster kids, looking to start talking to those kids, and the biggest problem I had that I'm wondering myself, why is this happening? So think about that, when you taking our kid 2 years, 3 years kid out of their home, young them out from the house. I know some of the situation that they run into, you have no choice. But then I look at some of the situation you do have a choice. You don't have to yank this kid out from the house, but they do anyway.
Right.
And I don't understand why. And then think about the trauma those kids go. I mean, I can example, 40-something years ago, when I left my country, I was like 22 years old. I'd never been out of the country. That's the first time I'm coming to the United States. I didn't know anybody.
And what country were you coming from?
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. Okay.
And I flew into LAX, and my stomach, the whole 24 hours flight, I was scared. My stomach was such a nausea. I looked like I'm going to throw up. And my thing was heading, where I'm going to go. I mean, in that age, I was having that trauma. Think about those kids, when you young them out from the house and put them somewhere else, the trauma they go through, and then they are not treating those trauma proper way. They're putting them in the medication high dose. I mean, I see some of the kids taking 12 different kind of medication. I mean, you're not talking just a regular, the Prozac and, high dose, mental, you can name those things, and he looked at, they're treating that way rather than treating the proper way. And think about those kids, when they become adult, and all year round they're taking those medication and become adult, they become addicted on the prescription medication.
Yeah.
And then, they come to society and we call them, oh, they're a bad kid, bad people. They're not bad kid. No kid is a bad in my mind. Because we put them in that situation, and rather than taking the responsibility ourselves and take the blame to ourselves, we turn the blame to them. We say, oh, that's a bad kid. That kid got hooked up with the drug and all this stuff. But need to look into why this kid got hooked up with the drug.
It could be that the system hooked him up with certain types of drugs that then promulgated and enhanced that lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you taking Prozac, say, 15 years, constantly every 15 years, you become prone to that medication, and you cannot.
Yeah, it's an addiction. Now you have a hardcore addiction that you have to deal with, when that could have been avoided if you hadn't been ripped from your home and put into a system that's going to pump you with drugs.
Yeah, I mean, this is how horrible that thing, and and I feel for those kids. I remember that in our camp that when you do the counseling this kid, and the following week the kid, they can't request who they want to be their counsel. And the funny part is that in the first year, I didn't have that kid on me, and this kid was the next cabin. Cute kid you ever see life, you know. I mean, the kid was smile 24/7. Every time he come, he is smiling, and he used to call me Mr. Duke, Mr. Duke, laughing and joking. You know, I mean, my heart was so broke. And then following year, I go on the camp. Guess what? He requests me for his counselor, and I was his counselor, and did for 5 years. The next 4 years, every year he requests me that he wants me to be his counselor, and I was. And the last year that when I left it, that year was very tough. He asked me, "Why can't you adopt me, Mr. Duke? You don't like me?" I said, "No, son, I like you. I love you, you know. Why don't you take me home?" I said, I can do it, you know. And I talked to the director on the thing, and I told him my thing, you know. I said, you know, it just broke in my heart. Because when you take him down that next Sunday, drop them off, every kid was crying. They don't want to go home.
Yeah.
They're fussing about, and you know, then I feel like, you know, for a whole week that we mentored them, and the end of the week, are we doing the right thing? Or in my mind, I thought, we're not doing the right thing. We are giving the false hope those kids hard, you know, and we can't do anything about it. And it broke my heart because that kid, I mean, I fall into that kid, you know, really, really, really bad. Talked to my wife, and I told him, I said, I don't care what the organization said, I'm going to try to be end up that kid, you know. But, you know, it didn't happen, you know.
Yeah.
I could not.
Now, how long ago was this? Was the last year that you did the camp?
That was, I believe, in 95.
Oh, 95, okay.
95, yeah.
A little while ago.
Yeah. And a matter of fact, I involved all my family. My wife was there. My daughters was there. My son was there. I brought them, everybody. The reason I did, have them to come and acquaint those people and see, you know, how fortunate, you know, we are, and look at the other side how they are, you know. I mean, it breaks your heart down, you know, and I couldn't do it. That year after that, I told council, I said, you know, I'm out. I'm not going to be able to do it anymore because my emotion was so bad, you know, and.
Yeah, I can only imagine how difficult it would be year after year to just see them go back to this really terrible situation.
And the other funny part I see, you know, they take this medication, and at the night time comes, you know, when the medication run out, you can see those kids got totally changed, you know, look like they become a monster. And some of the kids, you know, shouting, crying, don't want to go to sleep, banging the wall, you know, and look like a zombie there, you know. And they looked at what happened, and you sit down, you know, till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, try to calm them down, try to go sleep, and praying with them, you know. And some of them kids get so violent, you know, you try to calm them down, you know. And it's just sad, very sad to see that.
Yeah,
you know?
and a lot of those kids, I mean, from what I've read and understand, that is the reaction that some people have to these antidepressants and things like the kind of drugs that you're talking about.
Yes.
That some have side effects, sometimes even potentially very lethal kind of violent side effects.
Yes.
And it's a big problem. So it's sad that when really what a lot of kids just need, they need to get outside, they need to run around, they need a decent diet. They don't, you know, need to be shoved in place and just fed,
No.
you know, drugs.
No.
I mean, they need to be able to be kids and live life the way God intended, right?
Yeah, I mean, my thing, a kid need to be kid.
Yeah.
You know, kid need to be kid, but like I said, you know, our system had a big flaws, and nobody's talking about, you know. And I want you people out there, listen, and we all need to be talking about those kids is the future of our country. think about them when they grow up, and they are going to be running the country. And if we then, make their life better and teach them to grow up in a proper citizen, what's going to happen in our country? So, don't just think about yourself, or your kid, or your grandson, because they are going to be walking with them side by side. So think about that, and do something for those kids, and that is my message for my whole ministry, that I want to be those kids. And this is how this VLM idea came to my mind when I walked away, and I said, I'm going to be trying to do something, and I'm going to try to bring this voice out in the community.
Yeah.
It is not only government, job to taking care. It is job for everybody. Job for us, job for everybody. Especially those fathers and mothers. When you brought your kid this on your life, it is not anything but you. It is about those kids. You're responsible for those kids. Make sure those kids, get proper love, proper housing. Don't fool around your life, and not only destroy your life, you're destroying your own kid's life. And it's a perfect example. I'm going to talk about that my godson, I had two godsons beside Adam over here, and
sometimes this stuff is pretty deep and emotional, right?
anyway, one of my sons that we lost him,
Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
anyway, he and my son is, I think, was 2 months apart, and he was my next door when we moved in our home. They moved in about 2 months before we did on the house, and then the parents asked me one time that wants me to, their godchild, I said, okay, we are. And I mean, that kid was such a beautiful kid, and we didn't know. And his dad, he was a playboy, big time playboy, and never took care, spend time with those kids. He's always excused that he's working, but he didn't work. When he said he's working, he was with someone else, with somebody with that, and at age 11, he and my son was in the cafeteria, and he was fool around and tried to kick my son's leg, and he fall down and his leg busted up, and we took him to the hospital, and our part that the doctor, put the cast on it, and we didn't know anything about it. He said, it takes 6 weeks, your leg's gonna get better, and you're gonna be fine, And right on the 6th week, he was his uncle home, and he would just scream, and he told mother, my leg just broke again, and his mother, his uncle, and he said, what are you talking? And they got mad with him. He said, stop playing, his name was Jason. He said, stop playing, Jason. And he said, no, I'm not, my leg just broke. So his mother, called us, and we told them, take him to the hospital right away, we will meet you. Matter of fact, we brought him into Northwest Medical Center right over here, And we go over there, and a few minutes ago, the doctor comes in, and doctor said, we're gonna transfer him to Children's Hospital. And I said, well, why? And he said, you guys didn't know? I said, no. And wind up, find out that when his leg was broke down, he had a bone cancer. And
Oh my goodness.
when they did the X-ray 6 weeks ago, the X-ray radiologist thought the doctor's going to read the X-ray, but then the doctor thought that radiologist is going to read the X-ray. So nobody read the X-ray, and they didn't know. And what happened is 6 week time, that cancer, because cancer stay in the dormant, and when he's open up, it flared out whole. So his whole body was took over by the cancer. So Children's Hospital will go, they treat me, and they want to amputate his legs, and we told them no, that's not the option, we don't want to be amputated, and he, we asked him what the prognosis, if we amputate the leg, and he said, well, the cancer is all over his body, and we can make it, stop the growth, after his legs, but that's not guaranteed, So we said, well, if it's not guaranteed, then we don't want to amputate, And I'm telling you, he died in December the 26th, and during that February to in December, we did everything with that boy, because even he had the cancer and he's in a sick bed, his dad was not there. He wants to go movie, his dad not there. We took him to the movie. He wanted to go eat restaurant, we took him to the restaurant. I remember that Christmas, that there's one of the subdivision over here. Every year they do the lighting. Beautiful lighting. All over the. They do the contest for the lightings, and we go every year. So that year, and he want to go, and his dad was not there. And I go over there. He asked me, Mr. Duke, I want to go see the light. I said, okay, we'll take you. His mom said, how? He barely can walk. I said, that's no problem, I said, we will put him in the van. We'll take our seat off and put his wheelchair sitting down there, and put a bed on the side, and we'll make it, we'll take him down there. And we did. We took him down there, and he looked at, he was laughing, and he was so happy, the lights, and I don't know how many times he thanks me for that, and
Now, does he know at this point that
yes,
he's going to die very soon?
Yes.
Okay.
he was. Matter of fact, he told everybody that, hey, don't worry about it, I'm going to the better place,
Yeah.
And
what year was this?
I don't remember off my head right now. My
Okay.
son is 33, and he was 11, but 20-something years
About
ago.
22 years ago.
22 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
And on the 23rd of December, we are going to my in-laws' house, and I want to see him, and I told him, okay, Jason, you have a nice Christmas, and enjoy it, we will be back, and he's exactly what with me. He said, Mr. Duke, don't worry, I'll wait for you, I said, what are you talking? He said, I'll wait for you, you go enjoy your Christmas with your family, and stuff, I'll wait for you. So I just came on and I talked to my wife. I said, I don't know what Jason said, he wait for me, and he said, don't worry about it, he was just probably emotional, And the funny part is that he did wait for me. And so as a Christmas, 23rd, 24th, I called his mother several times. My wife called him, how's Jason doing? He said, well, he's doing fine. As a matter of fact, he was not. But his mothers don't want to say us because they don't want to ruin our Christmas, And on the 26th in the morning, around about 10 o'clock, his mother called and told us and said, hey, y'all need to come because I don't think so he's going to be sad.
Yeah.
So 10 o'clock, because it's a 5 hours drive from there to in Houston, and we just packed really rush packed, and I drove straight through, and parked my car. We get it over here around about 4:30 at 5 o'clock. Drove my car, parked in the driveway, and I got on. I run to his house, next to his house, walk over there, and he was gasping, and he couldn't talk, so I hold his hand. He squeezed my hand when I was there. And after
No problem. Take your time.
after he squeezed my hand, and I told him, I said, Jason, I said, son, told him that we loved you. I said, time for you to go home, and after 10 minutes, he's gone.
Wow.
So I mean, it was just surprised me, and I remember still, why he said, Mr. Duke, I'll wait for you. And he did. He did wait for us. And his youngest brothers, they only have two child. And because his father, after he died, his father never changed, and the second son, Jason, and I guess, he was really took it hard when the brothers died, and then his father was not there for him, and make it short that, hey, he hooked up with the drugs, all kind of stuff, and then he went to jail, I took him out from the jail a couple of times, and we tried to save him, we couldn't save him, and then his father didn't do anything, rather than keep him in the house, he kicked him out from the house a couple of times, and he wound up was living under the bridge somewhere. I went down to pick him up, brought him to home, and was thinking, how could you do your son, and that's what I'm talking about, when you brought your child this, it's your responsibility to take care of your child, take care of your, and give them the life they needed, a responsibility. And I'm seeing some of the people today, they don't have any more responsibility. They don't want to take the responsibility of their kid,
Sure.
And I don't understand that part, And
Sure.
and then you get older, then you want to make it up, but that's too late. It's too late, So I'm sorry, I get really emotional.
No, that's obviously an impactful and difficult and important story, and I think it's important for those who are watching to hear that, for really for the sake of our own children and for others, that we only have our kids in the home a certain amount of time.
Yes,
and once they're gone, they're gone. You can't have communication with them, but the time of really influencing and teaching and training them is over, and that time is really precious. I have 4 kids myself that are still in my house. One's about to go off to college, but I feel that. I feel that as well, and that's too bad when he could have invested in his son. And
think about that. You lost your one son, then you have the other son, and that son is lost too. Why?
Right.
It could be wake up call for him.
You would think it would be.
Wake up call for him. Hey, I lost one son. I have the other one. I have to take care of this one. Make sure I don't lose that one either. But he lost that one too.
Just let it go. I
You
think,
know.
it's interesting. Selfishness really ultimately is not in your interest. We think it is. I'm going to go do this or that. I'm going to go spending and do this and do anything and everything I want and neglect my family because it's what gratifies me right now. But in the end, selfishness is really anti-self, and it comes back to bite you hard. Now, I guess there's a lot of people who might go to their grave and say, no, everything is okay, but I think a lot of people, later on in life, they realize, man, I had this wonderful thing. I had my kids at home with me, and I just totally squandered it,
I mean, we don't understand. I don't understand, that, in life, what is more important, to me, is now family is more important than anything else in my life. I mean, my son is 33 years old, my daughter is 30 years old. I treat them, raise them so close, that even he's 33 years old, my son, anything he needs, he will call me. And he asks my advice, and hey, Dad, tell me what you think of it. And the same thing with my grandson, he's 5 years old. And, that boy love me so much, he wants to see Grandpa 24/7. He stay with me, and I make my time every weekend with him.
Yeah.
No matter what in my queue, I drop everything just for him. Make sure I give my time to him. He loves me,
Well, and that's what it is. Really, a lot of parents think that, they need to work really hard so they can make all this money, so they can accumulate this great house and great cars and great toys and great clothes and all this stuff for our kids. But really, when the only thing, really all our kid wants from us, our kids and our grandkids want us. That's what they want. But oftentimes that is the last thing that we're willing to give them.
Speaking about the Ryan, you just open up
another
topic on me, with money, you don't think so the money, it makes a happier family, and I was there in that life, in my early life, like I said, I love my kid, and I will share with you someday in my life how I was grew up, in my life. And I told myself I will never let go to my kid that what I went through in my life, because my dad was very, very abusive man. My dad beat my mom up so many times in front of us, in front of me, and it's a very, very bad situation in my life, and I went through very trauma, I wanted to kill myself twice in my early age, and sick of the God that, I'm still here today, and I believe God has a purpose for me to hear, and that's the reason I said, you asked me one time, why do I so much time try to spend for the youth and the kid, and why do I love so much kid? Because that's the reason who I am, where I came from, and when you said the money, I thought the same thing too, I was in the both side in my life, and I was in the corporate side and making very, very good money, and every money I make, I spend for my kid and my family. I spend very few for me, and when you go to corporate, you always, I call it a chasing ghost, because you want to be moving higher and you see how higher you can go, and that was my goal. I was there, but I remember that, and my wife tried to tell me so many times, and I said, hey, I'm making good money. You all guys should be happy. But I never thought money's not everything,
Right.
And
Right.
in 1999, I came from Hong Kong. She picked me up from the airport, and I feel a little bit different on her approach to me, And the next morning, she gave me a envelope, and I said, what is that? He said, open it. I opened it up, and that was the letter. It's a divorce letter, and I shocked. I said, what is this, And she said, well, you never been at home. You always been, having fun yourself, and you're all there. And I said, but every single time I make, I send it to you guys. And she said, money is not everything, And problem is that I missed 2 Christmas back to back. Both years wind up overseas, And I never thought about that and those effects, you know. But anyway, when you said that money, you know, think so, you have make good money, you know, but no, it's not.
Yeah, no.
Now I know it's not, you know.
Yeah.
And just the God of sake of God, you know, I walked away everything, saved my marriage,
Amen.
my kid, everybody, you know. But look at now, I mean, I'm still making the money.
Sure. Well,
Wow.
it's like you had a wake up call,
Mm-hmm.
and like a lot of us do have wake up calls at different times in our life, and it's all about how we respond to that
Mhm.
wake up call. We can
Mhm.
go two directions. We
Mhm.
can allow ourselves to wake up
Mhm.
and change course the way we need to, or we can just simply go back to sleep,
Mhm.
and we can go back to life as usual, kind of
Mhm.
take the blue pill,
Mhm.
so to speak. And thankfully, you chose the right way, and it's reaped benefits not just in your kids, still have an amazing relationship with your kids, and your grandkids
Yes.
as well. And I think that should be encouragement for all of us. Like, all they want is for you to spend time with them and be with them, come to their games, you know, read the Bible to them, teach them how to follow the Lord, and you know, like they want us.
Yes.
Ultimately, and if you did, it's simple. You know, if you do that, then your kids are gonna like you, and you know, you're not yelling at them and beating them and stuff all the time,
See,
or at all.
That is the point, you know, my point, and that is the thing I try to be across to our society, everybody. Save those kids. They are the future of a country.
That's right.
It is not only the government job to take care of them, it is all of our job. It's your own house.
That's right.
My thing is that the dad and mom out there, take the responsibility when you bring the child on this world. That child going to become your number one priority. It's not about you anymore. It's not about you anymore. You know, and the young kid, young men, some women are out there thinking going to have a family. But if you don't think so, you can change, because when you become a family, your whole life stuff will be changed. And if you don't think so, you can make that change, then don't create the family. Don't try to bring the child in this world that you can't take care of the child. You know, that is my message to everybody. When you bring the child, you need to be take care of to be.
Yeah.
Be a father, be a mother, you know, and take the responsibility to make them life that the life should be, you know.
You know, it makes me think about that scripture that says, you know, fathers, you know, raise your children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, right? I mean, that's ultimately what it's about, is spending time with our kids, playing with them, praying with them, teaching them, and pointing them back to Jesus Christ, right? I mean, that is
going to be our ultimate point, you know.
Yeah.
To, you know, just like Christ said, you know, pick up the cross and follow me.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we might not feel like it.
You know.
I remember when I was I would come home from this particular job I was at previously, and I would get home from work and I'd be so tired, and all four of my kids were younger. I think we only had three at the time. Three younger kids, and I was just so tired initially when I would get home from work, but they all wanted daddy and to climb over me and all this, and so I kind of learned to improvise. I remember I got down on the floor and made kind of a slide out of my body, and I would kind of sit there and rest, and the kids would, you know, slide down my back. It was called the daddy slide, you know. And we get it, you know, life is tough, work and life is tough, and it can be very hard, but it's just learning to, and that's not all I did with my kids, but, you know, learning to adapt and make that a priority. And typically, you know, if, you know, we can spend a few hours a day watching TV or whatever, we can take some of that time and instead and use it with our kids. And, you know, I mean, it's something we can do. They're given to us by God. It's something He's given us the capacity and the ability to do. He's uniquely, if we have kids, we're equipped to be able to deal with those kids. Then we need to take care of them and and none of us are going to be perfect. We're all gonna mess up and be less than ideal, but it's that lifestyle. That lifestyle of parenthood and fatherhood and motherhood, and just being for our kids, what the Lord wants us to be, and what we need to be for them.
Yeah, I mean that's the bottom line, And think about that, A lot of time we don't think about, the time you're gonna miss, Say you abandoned your kid, Just think about the flip side on the life, For example, you have a 4 kid, Say you abandoned those 4 kids, And then later life you come and you look back, and you say, I miss such a good time. Think about the time you're having, and if you walk away at this time, and later life you think back, and you can't bring those time back. It's gone.
Right.
It's gone for forever, never coming back. So think is that, don't miss out. Miss out those moments, those life, those happiness, everything up. Everything had a time, and everything, had a price on it. You gotta pay. Your action.
Yeah.
Your action will make you who you are, and how you make your family. And if you don't proper way you take care in the later life, there's a price you gotta pay for it. But it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late because Bible said that your mistake, what you do, that it's a 4 generation will carry on, pay for mistake you do.
Yeah, it can definitely have that
Think
impact.
about that. 4 generation, and that's not lying. Think about that. You mess up your life, you kid mess it up their life, your grandkid messing up because of your kid got messed up. Now the grandkid, your grandkid messed up too. 4 generation right there. Just think about. We don't think about those things.
Right.
We think about and it's a waking call for everybody.
Yeah, it is, and I guess the good news is that Christ came to set us free, and He came to give us the ability to through faith in Christ and through His Holy Spirit to be those people, right? To be the ones that doesn't choose that, so it doesn't affect our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids, and who knows, maybe even further beyond that we do have that hope, at least, right? That through Christ and through His power, through His Holy Spirit, that it is there is hope. There is hope for that ultimately, but it's a wake up call to us, and it's a warning to us. It's like I remember, especially when my kids were smaller, people all the time, enjoy them, they grow up fast. Enjoy them, they grow up fast. And I try to think about when, because my youngest kid, I still sing a lullaby to him every night, and I really treasure those times. But a lot of times I don't treasure that because I'm tired. I don't feel like doing it. And one of the things I remind myself though is, Ryan, 10 years from now, you would be willing to give $1 million if you had it to go back to right now, to be able to snuggle with your little boy and sing him a lullaby in bed. Right? I mean, you've got older kids, and I'm sure what would you give to be able to spend a day with your kids as an 11-year-old, or maybe not teenagers. We'll stay younger, but you know what I'm saying, like 11 or 8. I mean, it's
what you said. That's a true thing, and I just told you that. I missed out a couple of important things in my kid's life because, like I told you, I was chasing ghosts. I thought money was everything up. I mean, I missed 2 Christmas back to back. My kid was very active. My son was very active. He was in basketball and football. My daughters were cheerleading and choir, everything up. And I missed a lot of them. And I look back. Can I go back? No, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's gone. I cannot. And that's the reason I want to put as much time I want to my grandson. to give him that what I missed out from my kid. I tired of being kind of funny and silly too, that But be honest with you, I'm hoping I can make up those moments through my grandson.
Sure.
Spend with him and feel about what is to feel like the joy. And I mean, every time he comes, no matter what happened to me, I'm going to be having such a bad mood all day. But that boy walked in, my mood totally get changed.
Yeah.
He make me like a happy person,
For sure.
And that is the moment. That is the step I'm talking about in life, but.
And so we started off, talking about child protective services and foster care. Unless there's anything else that you want to go to, and then of course we went into your own personal experiences and personal life there. How do you see, if we kind of wrap this up in a bow and kind of like the thesis or the main message of what you're trying to communicate to the listeners, whether it's about their own personal families or it's about the foster care system and CPS and that sort of thing. What's kind of the I guess the big idea that you would really like to leave the viewers with?
The idea I'll leave the conversation we had today. My goal is that let's open up the conversation to the society with everyone. Start talking, and I see the church. Some of the churches are so silent; they don't talk about it. But we all need to start talking, and we all need to be thinking about what can we do to make that thing better life for those kids. It's not one man job.
Yeah.
It's not government job. It's job for everybody. So I want you to be the churches, those government officer, with family, and the bottom line is start parents. They are the key. They're the one is creating this episode. They need to be very proactive, and they need to be thinking about, and need to be start from there.
It reminds me of a president that once said that our saving our country and making our country the best it can be. I don't remember the quote exactly, but really begins and happens around the dinner table.
I know what the quote he was talking about. John F. Kennedy said, don't ask the country what country can do. Ask yourself what you can do for the country.
Boy, we need a little bit more of that today, right?
That was the quote he did.
Yeah.
So that's what I said. Don't ask. Those parents don't ask that what the government and your friend anybody can do for you, for your family. Ask yourself what you can do for your family first.
Well, it makes me think of that scripture in James where it says, pure and undefiled religion is this, taking care of widows and orphans in their distress and keeping oneself unstained by the world. It's like pure and undefiled religion isn't doing nothing and expecting the government to do everything for us. It's us engaging in those things and in those activities. It was never about that. It was all about that. Hey, we have been redeemed. We've been purchased by the blood of Christ. We've been filled with His Spirit, and so now God is going to bring His kingdom to others through us, and He's going to change society through us and through His church, which isn't a building. The church is not an organization. It's not a website. It's not even our great YouTube website, right? It is everybody who is a follower of Christ and who's been redeemed, bought, purchased, and that's what his kingdom's coming through.
Church is saying, building is the church, we call the name, but actually church is body. Our body is the church.
That's right. Or the ecclesia, the called out ones.
We sitting in here, and my body, your body, is a part of the church. That's what the church built.
Yeah.
So.
Amen.
So that's that's the reason I have this platform, and we are going to be talking some more in upcoming week, we'll have more discussion with that.
So we're really kind of just opening up the conversation,
Yes.
kicking it off. Let's
Yeah.
kind of get this out there. This isn't the episode where we go through all the different solutions that we
No.
can do necessarily, but we're at least going to start the conversation
Yes.
so that
And,
others can join in.
Yeah, and I'm not here to point my fingers to anybody or and try to say who's fault, who's not fault. My thing is that we all make a mistake in life. We all do a stupid thing in our life. But thing is that in one point in life we need to wake up. Wake
Yeah.
up, and that is the thing, time for us to wake up and find out what can we do to change this the things is going through our culture. Change to make those kids' life better. So
Yeah.
so that is, so it's no point finger to nobody.
Sure.
I mean, whose fault? Nobody. I mean, mistake already happened. Now is that what is the solution? What can
Right.
we do to make that better,
Right.
and make sure the next generation don't fall into that same thing?
Right.
So that is the message.
Amen. That's awesome. Well, Duke, unless there's anything else you want to share, or do we want to end it off with that?
I think that's it for today.
Okay.
And we are going to be talking some more in future, and we will going to be invite some more people, some pastor and some other people, have them come to join with us. And in future, I'm working on it. Maybe sometime down the line, we will have people to chime in through the system, and start making a conversation through when we do the live episode.
Okay.
And viewer opinion, their talk and stuff. So
Okay.
so that is in the plan now.
All right.
All right.
Fantastic. All right. Well, everybody, thank you guys so much for joining us for the VLM Vision of Light Media Roundtable. Make sure to subscribe to the channel that you're listening on if you have not already, and hit that bell for any notifications so that you guys can be alerted for any future live broadcasts. We are going to be doing these very regularly. So thank you guys for joining us. God bless. We'll see you next time.
Your presence, Lord. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Jesus, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome at your presence, Lord. Your presence, God. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you, God. Set a fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control. I want more of you, God. I want more of you. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be. No place I would rather be than here in your love, here in your love. No place I would rather be. Standing on this mountaintop, looking just how far we've come, knowing that for every step you were with us. Kneeling on this battleground, seeing just how much you've done, knowing every victory is your power in us. Scars and struggles are in the way, but with joy our hearts can say, yes, our hearts can say. Never once did we ever walk alone. Never once did you leave us on our own. You are faithful, God, you are faithful. Kneeling on this battleground, seeing just how much you've done, knowing every victory is your power in us. Scars and struggles are in the way, but with joy our hearts can say, yes, our hearts can say. Never once did we ever walk alone. Never once did you leave us on our own. You are faithful, God, you are faithful. You are faithful, God, you are faithful. Scars and struggles on the way, but with joy our hearts can say, never once did we